My name is Kirstyn Hom. I am an interdisciplinary artist working with sculptures, performance, and installation to explore the connection between language and textiles. I'm originally from San Francisco. That's where my grandparents immigrated to from China in the late 1940s. So my work responds to the ways in which my grandmother had to carve a new home and sustain it through the labor she endured as a seamstress in Chinatown. Growing up with the language barrier between her and I pushed me to figure out ways of expressing my care beyond words. And so that happened through different kinds of gestures. Whether that was the way she peeled and served fruit to me, how we waved our hands to each other, or even how we had to listen closely to the pitch of each other's sighs. So translation carries into the work that I do. To unravel a strand of thread from a spool, then wrapping it into a stitch through the machine. And so those line of stitches build into a line, which eventually a fragment of text appears on the fabric. I like to engage with, moments where I can use the stitch to speak louder, to kind of talk about the complications of my identity and, how there's often no answers, but I'm just searching. I'm searching through the stitch. I'm searching through the process. And in that sense, I find spaces of freedom and spaces where I can be open and find my voice. So I was trying to figure out what to dye with all this fabric that I had. And I was doing some research on natural dyes and how, different skins of like vegetables and fruits create these really beautiful and vibrant colors. And I was thinking about my own relationship to fruit in Chinese culture. You share fruit, you give fruit as a source of love and pleasure. And at the time, I was reading some poetry from different Asian American writers and poets to think about kind of my own relationship to that identity and what does it mean for me to be Asian American right now, Chinese American, and a professor recommended this book by Francis Chung. So as I was reading that book of poetry, I found out that the pomegranate was called the Chinese apple due to trading routes across Europe. They referred it as the Chinese apple, and I was really curious what kind of color the pomegranate skins would create in a dye bath, and was so amazed by the bright kind of yellow hue that the pomegranate created. So at the time, I was really rethinking my relationship to the color yellow, how yellow has become very racialized, and how growing up I had so much aversion to the color yellow. This process of, you know, treating this fabric and carefully dyeing it was a way for me to kind of think of yellow as something different, as something that could be joyful, that could be warm, that could, you know, illuminate a space, to be held by that color. When my grandmother passed away around 2018, I was really curious about the things that she kept, the things that she left behind, pieces of her writing. And one piece of writing that she had in her bedroom was these exercise movements that she would practice daily, normally in the morning. So my mom gave me the exercise movements, and I tried to kind of translate, you know, what the movements were. And that mode of translation was a way for me to feel connected to her after her passing. I started practicing these movements, you know, during the COVID lockdown in my own bedroom. And it was a way for me to take care of myself while I was feeling isolated, and hearing about a lot of the attacks on the AAPI community, and wanting to feel strong and centered in my body.
The Great American Yellow Poem by Frances Chung. She heard tales about saving grapefruit skins for cooking. She grew right under the neon dragon of Chinatown. She made saffron curry rice for friends. She attended a barbecue in Amarillo, Texas. She stepped around yellow piss and snow. She cut herself on a Hawaiian pineapple. She learned to name forsythia where it grew. Visions of ochre and citronella eluded her.